I'm from Moree originally, up northern New South Wales.
Yeah.
But then I went to school in Sydney and I really never wanted to go back to Moree after that.
Don't blame them. How long have you been building models?
Like everyone else, I did as a kid and then stopped. And then when I was working in Sydney in organised crime, and my wife said to me, you need to get a hobby because we were just drinking all the time. There's a big drinking culture in my job. So I got into wooden shipbuilding. So I did that for 10 years, and then I built like the Endeavour. That took me 10 years, and then I thought I can't spend another 10 years building something. We're good? Right. How do I get, Pete, sorry, how do I get this thing to work for my just normal tabs?
Tabs. You can see the buttons.
Yep. Cool.
Yep,
Okay.
it's a touch screen.
Yeah, cool, nice. Okay. Obviously, my name's Greg. I'm Bacon Bits Models on the Facebooks. I'll quickly go through dot points. I know there's a lot of things you want to see out there, and the closer you come in, the better. You see, that's my reference material at home. So, and I got a lot of this when I was building wooden ships. So, understanding how rigging works and understanding why it works and all that kind of stuff. With the Anatomy of the Ship series, if you're going to build wooden ship, if you're going to build a plastic model, it's the best reference you can get. It really is if you've never seen them before. They're starting to bring them out again these days, but they're bringing them out more in that 3D, more of a 3D thing than the line drawings, which gives you a better idea how stuff works. And you can get them as a download as well, so you don't have to have those books taking up space all the time. So if you've got a tablet, it's a lot easier to read. Obviously, Facebook's got a lot of reference material. I get most of my reference material off Facebook now because all modern ships have all got their own Facebook site, which kind of makes it easy to see what they're looking at any one time in space. For weathering, there's a really good Facebook site called Shipbreaking. Called Shipbreaking, and it's got all these really crappy weathered ships on it. And for reference material, it's fantastic. Grab a seat. Or come closer. It's, you know.
Did you want your slides to be on the TV behind you? Or?
Yeah, I do. It's probably going to be more use than looking at me because I'm not a good looking man.
Don't sell yourself short, Greg.
Was that going to work?
You were up there before for a minute.
Yeah. How am I doing this? I'll ask Pete.
Might be your other screen.
Hey?
Might be this one.
Is that it? Are we here? No. Pete has that thing that he understands technologies, whereas the rest of us don't. You know, I'll keep talking whilst I'm trying to find Pete's number. Getting plans like this is super rare. That's hard to find for line drawings, and feel free to stand up and grab the stuff and have a look while you're here.
Do it at pass it around.
Yeah, just pass them around. So for line drawings, Pete, can you show me how to put the screen up on the screen behind me, please, so I don't have to look at me? Okay, thanks. So there's a heap of them there. There's all sorts of line drawings. So if you're interested in ships, it's always like...
This came with the kit?
No, I bought this separately. So these are from a German guy who did the line drawings up in the early 90s. Sorry, it's a bit of a stilted start.
It's up.
Oh, good. He must have done it from down there. He's like that. He's good.
Somebody else go.
Oh, fuck. It's because I'm touching the screen.
If this morning he's done it remotely, that's a mental image.
Hours 2, 3.
17.
What
You need props in comedy, don't you? You need props.
Unsupervised.
Yes.
How different is the kit from the reference?
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty
I mean,
well.
yeah, I mean, this kit here, it's got your basic structures where the basic structures are meant to be. Everything else is spaced out correctly. It's moulded plastic, so you can only do so much with moulded plastic.
Yeah.
There's only the detail on the side of the kit now. For a Revell kit for 20 years ago, this has got better hull detail than most trumpeter kits do. Because trumpeteers just have smooth kits, those can't be arsed. And they get a lot of their... The problem with trumpeter is they get a lot of their stuff off welded warships. So they base their layouts of the weapons and stuff like that from welded warships. Hello.
Sorry.
That's right, you do you.
Did you ask for paper towel?
No, I was asking how to move this. It could be next door. No, it's next door, you would be.
Bear with me, bear with me.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go get him?
Yeah, if you would. Well, just ask him how to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's always hard for me to think like, I don't know what level I'm delivering to or what level we're going to get for people here. Just keep passing out. There's heaps of reference material there. Heaps of them. It's got the internal layouts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I ran past it, I didn't want to look at it yet. So I get stuck there looking at it for ages.
Are they all available online or?
What, these things?
Yeah.
No, this stuff is, oh, here it is. How do I keep this up? Keep it up there. Keep it stay up there. What button am I pushing?
Okay,
Because it keeps defaulting to me.
Okay, we actually, that's,
I want that up there the whole time.
you want that?
Yep, I don't want to look at me.
Yeah, that's picture in picture,
Yep.
but otherwise you can see.
So when I touch this, it's not going to do it again. Because I'm not actually building anything here, I just want to...
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell the operator downstairs we're not touching it.
Yeah, don't touch it. Yep.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, let you drive, okay?
Thank you.
Your number came as private, I didn't know who it was.
No, that's all right.
Sorry.
Obviously, because I don't know your level, like, the thing about building a ship is where the hell are you going to put it afterwards? I'd love to build one of those big 200 like a Renown or something like that, but where the hell am I going to put it afterwards? And it's not that they're long, they're tall. And my wife said, you're not putting that anywhere. We could just... Anyway, aftermarket generics, and the photo comes up here. Is that it? Okay, I'll keep doing that. Aftermarket generics, things I found really useful lately have been little belaying points like this. So the rings on the side, which are really good for your signal yards, which you run off your masts. Your belaying points, where, because super glue and paint don't work, it's got to be on the base, it's got to be on the plastic. So when you're pre-planning your model, I'll try and get my rigging points in, my belaying points into the plastic with the PE before I paint it. The denier line can come on afterwards. Aftermarket, it's not an addiction. I find Asia at the moment has a heap of really good aftermarket stuff. Thanks, Pete. The Asians seem to rebirth a lot of their aftermarket stuff all the time, their companies. So there'll be one month there'll be one name, the next month there'll be another name, and I'm just wondering whether they're pirating each other's work and they just keep reinventing their names to keep ahead of getting sued, whatever. But their aftermarket stuff is really nice. And I just find Hobby Easy is the easiest way to find it. So the aftermarket kit in particular for the Emden is the Edward set. The only thing with the Edward set I have to buy, there's part 1 and part 2. I had to buy 2 of part 2 because it didn't have enough hatches on the side for the gun ports. So when I built this one, As you can see, the rear gun ports here and the rear chasers aren't cut out. So it's a matter of cutting them out on the model itself. It's really horrible soft plastic, so you need to have a good fine file set to use it. Because if you're going to use something the equivalent of a 400 grit, it's going to rip it to shreds. And then you'll find yourself you're bogging it up again with continually. Now, the aftermarket 3D stuff. Now, start passing this stuff around. This is the level of passing around either way. So this is the bigger stuff. When you look at the smaller stuff, this is replicated in the same way. So that gun there is actually on the deck, but it's a smaller one. So how I paint them, if I can, I'll paint them on the actual sprue, for want of a better word. I'll use a 50-50 mix of Tamiya lacquer, Tamiya, what do you call it, primer, with the Tamiya thinner shot through an airbrush, because that way you're not going to lose any detail. Paintbrushes, unfortunately, really don't work for this because you're going to lose your detail very well. Once I've done that, basically very thin layers of the colour you want over the top, and then a seal coat, just nice clear coat, and then you can start using washes and doing your chipping and anything you would with any other armour model, because essentially you are doing a piece of armour, just in very small scale. This is the stern piece from the actual, our Garth, who's a club member, works out, was the creator at War Memorial. He got this piece out for me, so I take some photographs of it. And one of our other club members then 3D printed the stern piece for me. So a little piece on the back of this is actually the replica of that.
From the photo?
From the photo. But that's the future of 3D for you, isn't it? Like and it's not even using a scanner. You can just look at it. He does it in Blender and says it's going to look like this, and then they just develop your piece. So the guy from Micromaster would look at a lot of his stuff, and he'd just develop it from there as well. That's the back piece, and you can see it on the model there, which is a better shot. So in real life, it's actually quite a thick piece of wood. So they just bolted it onto the back of the ship. So when it was sunk off, ran aground in Cocos Island, the Australians have just gone on there and, oh, that's right. We're going to take what they wanted, pretty much. They've only this year moved the Emden's guns to the War Memorial, which it'll be ready to go in August. So you'll have the Sydney's gun on one side, you'll have the Emden's gun on the other side, you'll have the heraldry, and then you'll have this piece as well. And the new War Memorial, when you said the layout, looks really good.
Where was it sunk?
Off Cocos Island. The HMS Sydney ran it aground. So the remnants are still there. 50 Shades of Grey, I'm not a big believer in having an exact grey colour. Light grey, medium grey or dark grey, that's pretty much what I'm going to use a lot of the time, because I used to, when I still had knees, I could run past Garden Island when I worked in Sydney, and depending on what time of day it was, the ships were a different grey every single time. So unless it's particularly light or dark, and there's so many different RAL colours, and every company's got its own vested interest in having the best grey, but it's just not the kind of autism I'm interested in.
And they're also all different. They all claim to be RLM.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
You line them up and play them against each other, they're 50 different shades, as you said.
Yeah.
So they can't even get it clear amongst themselves.
Yeah, so it's never interesting. No. So you see, that's the denier line I'll use. I've got like several different grades of denier line. One thing to remember about denier line, like for the rigging here, the longer that goes in sunlight, it degrades it really quickly.
What was that, sorry?
Denier line, you show your rigging.
Yeah.
In sunlight, it degrades really quickly.
Yeah.
So basically, but if you paint it, it takes paint quite well. It'll go soggy when you put a bit of acrylic paint on it, and then when it dries up, it'll go taut again. So if you're going to do a model, you're going to leave it in the sun, you're going to lose your rigging eventually. It's going to go, unless you're going to paint
Is
it.
that preferable to easy line?
It's all the same stuff. It's all denier line.
Yep.
It's just the shape of it. If you want the harder stuff, there's some really good, thin metal ones, but it's like memory metal. You can't bend it into place. You can't bend the stuff. But if you want it as a support for a stay, it's good for stays.
How long are you saying that the denier line lasts?
Oh, 1 to 2 years. If it's in the sun, it'll degrade quicker. Depends direct sunlight. Like, obviously, I give away most of my ships now, because I've done quite a few, and they just take up a lot of space. And it's like having, to me, it's like having a meal. Once I've eaten the meal, I'm not going to eat it again, am I? I've just done it. I really don't care anymore, so I can just go. So it frees up space. The wife doesn't know the cabinet's getting full of stuff. Not that she gives a shit, but I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate. I've got my own study. So going back to the kit itself, 20-year-old kit set. It's really horrible soft plastic. It's got these, as you can see, it's got those two little bits down the bottom where the shafts go. The reason being, when they built this kit, they built it for the Dresden as well. So Dresden had 4 screws, Emden had 2. You'll see to cut out portholes rigging. You'll see a lot of the aftermarket companies, they'll have the portholes and they'll be full circles. I've yet to see, and anyone's ex-Navy here will tell me if they could see it, that's how a ringgoal's meant to look. So it's an porthole eyebrow. So the water runs around the side of it. So when you're putting them on the ship, if you've got a smooth hull, most ships are going to have ringgoals on them. We go with your references, but so a single line, you can buy aftermarket stuff for single ringgoals, and I would basically, putting them on, I'd use a toothpick, put the piece on, onto the plastic, and use very thin CA to make it stick. And if it doesn't work, scrape it off, put it back. Scrape it off, put it back. Figure you're going to lose 25% of it while you're doing it. It's going to happen. Unless you want it to look shit, you've got to do it that way. The sternum bow chasers, because you see it looks quite rough there. Putting in the guns themselves, those are little Micromaster guns that go in there. The deck itself is a one-piece deck. It needed to be cut in 3 to fit in there properly, because when you put the housings in there for when I move to the next shot, for the PE, it's not going to fit in there otherwise. So putting your own supports underneath it, just put some plastic card underneath it so it's supported. The side bits which were potato stores, of all things, and they kept their hammocks and the rest of it, which are along the port and starboard side. Scuppers go into the side of the hull. Your paint cube, which, unlike most things, you've got to paint it all off the model and then throw it together. It's not rocket science, but it's just the way. It's the only way you're going to get it to work, and the only way you can get your detail in there to work on the single piece, because each single piece becomes a model in itself. Under the hull, I'm a big believer in grunging up hulls, because back in those days, the red lead paint was still going to get a lot of grunge on it. And you consider Emden itself went around the South Pacific for a good year before it eventually got sunk. It got a scrape somewhere, I can't remember where it was, and then it's just going to get covered in grunge. Grunging is quite simple. I'll just use I'll do the correct colour, so the red underneath it, and then I'll just use some Mr. Surfacer on a sponge it up so it looks rough. Delineate your lines between where your bootstrap's going to be. The bootstrap's the line that goes across there. Just a reminder, Japanese ships don't have them, any warships. So use some masking tape along there so it doesn't go above the line. And then I'll just give it just use some AK Interactive, some enamel resin, enamel green sludge paint. Just thinned, run it across the top, makes it look green. So the higher it goes, so the sunlight hits the algae, the the algae starts to grow. So it's going to be greener towards the top than underneath. Does that make sense? And wear gloves, because once you start playing with enamels, fingerprints go in there really well. Ask me how I know. Lino decks. Back in those days, they had lino decks or quarter seam decks for a non-slip, and they'd hold them down with brass strips. So the process of building this, I'd paint the red for the quarter seam, and you can just pre-shade it and do whatever technique you want to use. I'll then do the pre-tube wooden decks with the stick-on decks. They pop up all the time, so I find now I'm gluing them down because they pop up the edges. Is really annoying. So you'll get bubbles. So if you get a bubble, just get a scalpel blade, run along the edge of a plank, and then I use an acupuncture needle with a bit of thin CA glue on it. Stick that needle in there and then press it down. And at this scale, unless you're using a microscope or what do you call it, really strong set of servo glasses like I have here, you're not going to notice it. The brass strip, you can just buy brass strip as Aftermarket. You put it down there, you can dull it down afterwards. So I would then just once you put a clear coat over the top to seal it, and then you can just use an enamel wash if you want to dull it down, and put a little bit of green there because brass goes green with corrosion. I don't think the word's corrosion, but so that's an aircraft carrier I did a few years ago. So when you're weathering wooden decks, so that's a blue deck, and a blue deck, which obviously with the Americans had, that's just using an airbrush then. An airbrush over the top using some tan, different shades of tan. You have to mask, the decals just don't work very well. You're going to do those little line markings on there. And then just using one of those AK pencils just to represent where the planes are going to land. It's the same as the Graf Zeppelin there, and just putting some green. Whilst the Graf Zeppelin never existed, no one's going to say I'm wrong. The chains, and this is the hardest worked area I imagine, particularly on a ship, because that's the bit hitting the sea all the time. The ocean's coming over it. That's going to rust up the most. The chains, what are they called? The chain stoppers. You can buy chain stoppers. You can buy really nice 3D printed chain stoppers now, and you can glue them down to hold your chains back. You're on, mate. And this realistically, it's just painting techniques and how you do your painting techniques. You can get capstans and all that other stuff now. A lot of that's Aftermarket, which saves doing it yourself. Because if you're going to scratch build it. But weathering is weathering, and there's no point in going through weathering with you. This is the stacks themselves. So completely stripped them back, and then added PE across the top of it. The masts themselves weren't that bad. Doing the yards, I just replaced them with PE yards. And then this is where you need to add your rigging points now whilst it's still in PE, just adding with CA so they're nice and strong. Because if you add them afterwards, the glue won't hold. You put them under, any tension is going to pop off. To work on them, I find it's easier to just put them in a vise. So it just gives you two free hands. You're not falling over all the time. It gives you nice and keeps you nice and flexible. But because it's plastic, the plastic's going to bend if you put it under too much pressure. The advantage of using the elastic line is that you can pull it taut and your mast won't bend. So, and they come up quite nicely once you've got a bit of paint on them. Put the denier line on them. Do as much as you can off the model, so you're not reaching into your model. I'll always work inboard to outboard. So work the centre line and then out. So as it comes together there, so this is before I've obviously added anything on that. That's when you get your alignment correct. So your mast alignment. If you need to step your masts, what you can do with your mast, I try not to glue them down. I'll put a little bit of a razor underneath them so I can put the mast into that. So if I need to pull them out, if I fucked up, I'm not gluing them, I don't have to cut them off. So if I had a major tragedy and this thing rolled over, apart from me throwing it in the bin, having a tantrum, I could basically pull the masts out and then re-rig it. So, rigging of any ship, you're going to do your mainstays first, you'll do your stays and your running lines. Your running lines will go last. So your stays are the bit that hold the mast up, so when it gets in the wind, it goes bouncing around, your masts aren't going to fall out in the ocean.
Sorry, just, what do you glue a razor plate? Is that what you're saying?
What?
A razor, and you push them into the razor?
In a razor, like a rubber, pencil or rubber.
Oh, in a razor, sorry.
In a razor, yeah.
A razor.
Yeah, it's because you can drill a little hole in it, and it's very, you can super glue works on it, on the plastic, and it'll just sit there. So your mast will sit there, nice and solid, won't move. And the thing is, if you bump it a yard, you can twist it. So then you can pull it back into place.
Yeah, right, okay.
It gives it a bit of give. So if you knock it, it's less likely to break. The ship's boats, these are aftermarket, they are beautiful. They are so well detailed. So pass these ones around. We'll just knock the top off them. Just pass those around. I'm a reasonable shipbuilder and I can't replicate that. So that's a 3D print just painted by me. So I imagine someone who knows how to paint could do an even better job. That detail is replicated in this scale. So the detail you see in those is on this. So that's when you get that envy, says that's what I want, that's the kind of look that I want from it. It's just, you can't beat it. And when you look at this, so if you haven't had a look at, people up the back haven't had a look at this, just pass it around. That's the original the original plastic model, and the detail you get on that compared to what's on here now.
So where are you sourcing that from?
That's Micromaster in New Zealand. It's an English guy who lives in New Zealand, Simon Percival. He just does some amazing stuff. You've got Black Cat models, which I think is American. He's got some nice stuff too.
I got a kid from them that came from France for some reason.
Sorry, he is French. He's French. Yeah, there's another one, because I think they're mates. They don't compete against each other. Like, they don't do opposite things. There's a lot of good stuff out there and a lot of poor stuff out there. But it's not teaming. It's not cheap to make. Ship's guns and the stern. That's a stern piece. That's a nice 3D printed piece made by one of our club members. And that is how she looks now, fully rigged.
How long did rigging take you?
Not all, less than a day. Because you know what's got to go there. If you've got the plans, you're not making it up, you know what's got to go there. And it's so quick to do. The tiniest touch of super glue, put your line down there. If you've got a belaying point, tie it to the belaying point. Use a razor or a very good piece of 20 scissors, cut that bit off, and then you're done.
So you painted your mast, you had all your rigging points on
Yep.
the mast, but you've painted it all, now you've gone to rig it. How do you get that rigging to stick to that painted PE?
Basically because you've got a belaying point. Because you can, depending on how you do it, you can wrap it around a little bit with a tiny bit of glue and drop it down there. So for the signal lines, the signal yards, you've actually got a circle there, so you're running up and through and down. It's hard to get a fife rail. A fife rail is the bit where they tie the signal yards to. They've got those pegs. So you're going to wrap it around there, a little bit of glue, hold it in place. Painting photo etch, I said I did one of the Arleigh Burkes a few years ago. Not preparing your surface properly. So masking the front helicopter landing area, pull the mask off, comes off as well. Just little tips, use your Mrs. Nail Polish Remover to clean the surface first before you put your primer coat on. It will stop it lifting. It will stop that little bit of grease from your fingers being on from handling the model, giving a nice clear surface.
On the PE?
On the PE, yeah. So you see, like a lot of those aftermarket kits, they've got so much PE now, but it's...
So you don't use a metal, sorry, you don't use a metal primer, you just use acetate?
To clean it there, then I'll use the 50-50 mix of the Tamiya primer and the lacquer thinner. Hull weathering is, obviously check your references. When people say a ship's not weathered enough, they've obviously never seen it in the ocean. Because there's some pretty weathered ships out there. As you see, that's the seedlets which I put in here a few years ago, and you can see the just the amount of different products you can use on it. And the Borrandino, that's the second, well, Battle of Tsushima. We've got sunk over there by the Japanese. When you read the ship, it travelled like 10,000 miles. It went from the Bosphorus around down to Japan, the Sea of Japan, where it eventually got sunk. There's letters from people who saw the Borrandino before it got sunk. They say they could see the green algae on the side of it, growing on the side of it. There's so much there because it travelled such a long way, and they had no way of cleaning it. And rust. There's different rust products. Use different colours of rust, because rust, as you know, has different colours. So use a dark rust, a light rust, a bit of white in there as well, a bit of black in there as well. Mix it up so there's no one piece of rust that's going to be the same. One of the guys in the club said he saw one of our ships up in the dry dock. It has been out for ages, and he said the rust streaks were running down the whole hull. They were just massive because it's metal. And more modern ships now, they obviously want to use less and less and that paint on them, because it just burns. You imagine you keep putting layers of paint on it, it's just going to burn. The hull's going to burn.
Did you use metal props?
Sorry?
Props?
Props.
There were screws to it
For this, I just use the kit ones.
Okay.
Yeah, they were fine. I mean, you can get 3D printed ones. You can't source it, that's the thing, because no one can make them. And I really couldn't be bothered designing them. So painting the 3D stuff, this is your example for, so steps an example. This is so cutting them off the sprues themselves, you can see they're on the risers. And basically I just use a pair of PE scissors now. They cut them off quite nicely. And this is just like painting any other piece of armour after that. Once you've done your cutting them off there. So the ship's boat, that's this one here. So they do come up quite nicely. And really is going to be the future of a lot of your ship modelling stuff, because in future there's more and more and more of this stuff going to come out, more multimedia stuff. You still can't beat a brass mast purely because for strength, but you've got the correct fittings on there. Okay, now my plan was to, and so come up, have a look, so you can see it properly yourself, the Emden, so you see the difference in that.
A lot of the kit 3D sourced them. Do you buy the product or do you buy the file and print it yourself?
No, I buy the product. It's not a rabbit hole I'm prepared to go down. You know what I mean? Because
You got a hobby already.
I couldn't draw a cat, let alone design and then make something myself out of it.
Learn to draw using a drawing boards. Cat design is completely beyond that.
So something like, now I'm not on video anymore. So you look at the difference in that. That's a little Italian browser. So that's yours, Peg. Just an example of stuff. I've got to send some of these overseas, but so to encourage you to build that's for one of the Italian ships. I'll just hint. So you get to paint that one. Yeah. You get to finish that one. So you get
25?
No. I was looking at Bunker Studios.
Yep.
And
Some of their stuff's nice.
Oh, the 1700 stuff that's 3D printed and it's got fine ladders and it's unbelievable what they can do these days.
But just a minute. So keep that.
Yeah.
So
Rigging.
rigging.
I saw a guy some years ago put the rigging in a right one, and he used a hair, I'm sure it was head. Maybe something like that could possibly work for something like this.
No, I'd use any line because hair is going to get brittle after a while. And all the small bits.
You think of the shrubbery too.
So have a go at doing it. That's what I'm getting rid of. So, have a go, mate.
Yes, I meant to say, it's not coming from me.
So
There's no girls in it.
where were your 3D boats from?
Micromaster New Zealand.
What's next? Can you mention?
I'm building an FT17 on a Schneider carrier. My next ship will be the Lloyd Clive. No, keep them. Who else here? You get care of those. I'm not taking them up. Yeah. So,
Thanks, Greg.
Greg, I've got a question. I'm lost.
where you going?
Cowden's workshop.
Next door.
Just
So go through there, up there.
Down the whole-
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So, I'm giving these pieces away, just take them. So, just have an example of,
How do you get them off the print plates?
use a very fine, like little PE snippers, or just use normal clippers. They come off quite easily. It's like anything, take your time.
I had a cardinal wood tank out, the tracks broke when I was trying to get it off the plate.
The what?
A cardinal wood tank, it's like a little universal.
Yeah. Don't try and do too much at once. You just got to do one point by point by point by point by point as you go along. That's plastic. That's plastic. So you see the little ones there? They're all 3D prints as well.
Greg, you had an entry here last year, I think. Was it the Dreadnought?
Yes.
The splinter pattern?
Yes.
How did you do the I don't know what you call those aerial lines that ran from the main mast to the rear, and by the time I saw them they had drooped, but they were
No, they wanted that. They were meant to droop because they're
How
brass.
did you do those?
I used in the middle, I used thin metal line, and then the spreaders themselves were glued so they were 90 degrees,
Yep.
and then I used denier line
Okay.
on the outsides.
And just like denier line from section to section to section? Or one piece of denier line?
No, you can pretty much run the whole way,
Okay.
but I wanted it in such a way that it wouldn't come off, so I wanted it to look sagged, because I built it years before and it looks straight, and it can't look straight. There's too much weight in it, because imagine the weight of that much copper
Yep.
in there.
So where did you source your centre line from? Now I'm putting it to you.
No, I'm trying to think of the company name. It's, if you go on to Model Ship World, the build is on there. Under, I'm RGL on Model Ship World. So I document all my builds on that. That's all right. So, I said, I hand those out, you can keep them. Like,
There you go, mate.
Yeah.
You got these next to you,
yeah. So that's, yeah. So the only ones I need to keep are these ones, because I've got to send them to people overseas. But for the rest of it, come and grab what's on the table. Apart from that, you can't keep that yet.
What was the Italian ship that one was from?
It's written on. It should be on the base. It should Should be written on the base.
The field facing the right. Oh, yeah, we would have tried that kit.
It's the Polar or something like that, because all the Italian ships had their name engraved onto what had nameplates on one of the barrel on the side of the metal. Oh.
Thank you, Greg.
It's all right. I was a bit disjointed, sorry, but it's too hard to think I'm going to be here showing you how to build a ship. It takes months.
Yeah.
I went from Stephen 1 to that as well.
It's like that, I just saw it.
Some stuff out all again.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
What's your next task, Greg?
Today.
Oh no, what's your next job that you next build that you're looking at?
I'm doing a French dive, but the next ship build will be the Lord Clive, which is a...
that monitor that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah.
But I'll do that in resin. I'll do that in water. I'll do it in poured resin.
Is this the Revell kit, is it?
Yeah,
Oh my
That one.
yeah, that's it there.
Smaller than I thought a cruiser would be. 350.
Okay.
I think for its time, it was probably quite large.
Yeah.
No worries.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm gonna get one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get one strong.
Oh yeah, mate, yeah, just try it, yeah, smash it. Spare it quickly.
Thanks for scaring the shit out of us, Greg.
That's all right. Just shows what you can do when you're bloody minded enough. So guys, if you want to keep those, grab one, they're fine. I don't need to take them back.
So this is a gun off the end of it?
That is like, you see one of the side chasers there?
Side ones, yeah.
That's those.
No worries. That's
Put that down the table now. You can tell it's humid. This thing's expanded.
So, you finished, Greg?
Yep.
Thanks.
So I'm just beginning pretty much all of it. Yeah, I've got that one at home with the photo etch in the stash. So I've done some articles on the HMS Sydney and Emden clash.
Okay.
So just got to get around to it. But this is very inspirational. Thank you.
The build of this I've done online.
Yeah.
Under model ship blog.
Yes.